This is going to be the first video in a series that I'm starting on my channel where I just review submitted gameplay and try to tell you what you can improve upon, hopefully for other people. If you're just watching this and it isn't your gameplay being reviewed, you could see these things that I'm identifying as potential issues within the submitted gameplay, and hopefully that they can help you, seeing this could help you fix your mistakes as well. This first video is going to be submitted by Myst3ryGam3r. I'll link her channel down in the description. Please go there and thank her for submitting this gameplay and being the first one on this series. Starting off, we have this ranked game on Yacht. And you see their setup. They have a very just like defensive setup in the site. They're all sitting in sight. They have no roamers, and that really comes back to bite them later on because like once the enemy breaks open into the site, they're basically just screwed. You'll see Castle in here plant his barricade on a window outside the site, and then eventually the door within the site. And then the window within the site is actually exposed, and it's just a normal barricade, and the enemy can easily break through, and that's what they end up doing. And that window single-handedly wins them the round because they get so many kills out of it. You'll see here that it quickly becomes a 2v5, and Myst3ry's stuck in a tough situation because she's pinned down, and she's like, there's not really much you could do. There's no good decision to make here. So I think you have to be proactive and hopefully try to get the kill the Habana and get those trade kills. It's unlikely to work, but a 2v5 in itself is an unlikely situation, and just sitting around hoping it solves itself won't solve the problem in any way. So you have to be more proactive in these rounds, even if you are taking a risk. Like in a 2v5 you have to take risks, especially on defense when like you're quickly getting pummeled in the site. Like just sitting around is not going to solve the problem. You have to be proactive and take risks sometimes. This next round is the first attacking round, and you see at the start here she drones out this room she wants to enter, which is fine. We're going to come back to this droning though because she drones a lot, and at times it leads to a lot of slow play and causes a lot of issues. But overall, the tactic here, she seems to be like going to the top floor and covering it, like trying to pinch on the site with her teammates, and I think that's fine. I think Jackal is a great operator choice for this, just because of the visor can catch out roamers if there are any like in your vicinity. It quickly becomes a 4v2 though, without anything really happening as far as like Myst3ry is concerned. And they're continuing to drone out the site. Like I think this round is just fine. Like there's not really much she could have done just because the team did everything well. But I think she could have been a bit faster on getting to like this last area around this corner up here where she's going to push around to block off the door to the site. Once your teammates are securing the site, you need to be there blocking it. Her slow timing does end up working out, but overall I think it would be better just to be there as soon as possible and be covering the angle for your team just as they like get on there or before they get on there. And I think timing your pushes with the team was like a major issue that you had, and a lot of times we'll see in the next attacking round, it really comes back to bite them. Next is another defensive round, and they're in kitchen this time. Myst3ry pretty much puts herself in a corner, which isn't a bad thing, but it is bad with this team setup. Once again, they have no roamers, and I'm going to go into that more in this one. But you'll see she puts herself in this like dead-end closet type situation, which is going to be very obvious just based on the setup. If any enemies like drive drones in there or just peek in through a window, it's going to be very obvious to them that there's definitely someone playing in this closet, and that there's really no way out for them, so that it's an easy kill to get. This would be okay if they had roamers and she just had to stay alive and just buy time for her roamers to get a flank off and finally pinch on the enemies. I'm going to make a video about the basics of roaming pretty soon. That's how I've played on defense since the beta pretty much, so I have a lot of thoughts on that, and I think it's very important to winning your defensive rounds, because as you can see here, these just 5 stacking or 4 stacking the site isn't working out. They get attacked and just like pinched, and then like the round is over. Basically every time that they have a defensive setup that is like this, the round is quickly over as soon as the enemy like gets a kill pretty much. She does do a good job of staying alive, and that's what I'm saying. If she had a roamer, I would think her role would just be to stay alive and buy time for them, and she does a very good job of that, and she doesn't take fights. She's generally the last alive on her team in these defensive rounds, but unfortunately the teammates, no one is taking any of the map from the attackers. Like they are just giving up the entire map to the attackers except for the room, so the attackers have a lot of options with how they can approach the site, and they can attack from multiple angles. Whereas if you have a roamer, you're cutting off the angles that the attackers can attack from, obviously, and it just makes it a lot easier for your defenders inside to know like, okay, they cannot approach this way at all because my roamer's watching it. A lot of people think roaming is just like walking around the site, but really you're just cutting off angles and taking map from the attackers. You're not just running around aimlessly. You're intentionally cutting off certain angles and relaying that information to your team. If you are going to be an insight defender, I think you just need to stay alive as long as possible and relay information back to your roamer with how the enemies are attacking. That way they can flank them correctly. You can get on cams as well early on in the round, since there's not really going to be much happening to you. You should definitely be scanning the map with cams and finding the attackers for your roamers. Also, Echo works very well with this because you could get on his drone and disorient people for your roamers. Yeah, that's all I have to say for this round. There's just nothing done well at all here. The team just gets collapsed on, basically, and the enemy team attacked perfectly in this round, I would say. This next attacking round is where I can make like a bulk of my points for like her attacking playstyle, and that is that the tactic is good. Like her idea behind this round is pretty solid. You can see that they have a fuse, it's secure area, and there's no Jaeger on the enemy team, so my idea would just be to fuse the site and win the round just based off that. The attackers are going to be very disoriented on that, and you could easily pinch. And as you can see, she does go for a pinch, but her attackers are already attacking before she's entered the site. So she either needs to communicate that with them. It's a team thing. She either needs to be faster or they need to be slower. One of the two things. It ends up becoming a 1v2, I think. Somehow, I think that the Thermite and the Fuse get flanked or something like that. I think Thermite should have just been watching Fuse's back while he fused the site. So like I said, you could single-handedly win this round. See, they have a 4v2 here, and she's approaching, and she's actually going to go for a flank, which is a brilliant solution to this round. But if she was breaking into the site here, she plants a breaching charge as it becomes a 1v2. So that her team just gets destroyed by Valkyrie. And she plants a breaching charge on this site, and she enters like in a completely separate direction than her teammates were attacking from. And if this happened while Fuse was breaching the site, then I think that they definitely would have won this round, just because it would have been way too much for the defenders to deal with, rather. The Fuse would have been going in, and she would have been attacking from the other side. So it would have just been free kills. It would have been way too confusing for the defenders, and that round would have been over. But unfortunately, she finds herself in a 1v2, and I don't think there's really much that could have happened here. She does get it down to a 1v1, but there's like a few seconds left, and she has to get in the site, and then unfortunately she gets challenged by a shotgunner. Like I said, there's not really much that like she could have done here to improve. It's just a shitty situation, just because earlier in the round she was so slow, and and the rest of her team was too fast. Like, I think she should have sped up a little bit, and they should have slowed down a bit, and then this would have been a perfectly executed attack. Like, the pieces were there, just the execution and timing was off. Next, we're into the final attacking round. I skipped the previous defending round just because there wasn't much to learn from it, especially from Myst3ry's POV. Basically, all the attackers just pushed into one of her teammates' like lines of fire, and he just killed them all. Like, literally nothing happened from her POV, which is fine. That happens sometimes on defense, so I just cut it just because I didn't think there was really anything to learn from it. This round is a blatant example of being way too slow. Or just like this entire team is just a blatant example of like being like off on timings. Like, some of her teammates are trying to play very fast while she's trying to play very slow. And this round quickly gets into like a 2v5 or a 2v4, I think. And then she's like droning with like very little time left in the round. There's like 30 seconds left and you're still droning the site. You just don't have time for that. You have to play more faster at that time just because there's no time left. Like I said, if you run out of time, you lose the round. So it's just running out of time. There's no reason for that to ever happen. You need to push into the site. Even if it's a bad situation, running into the site is a better situation than not running in at all and losing because of it. Both outcomes potentially end on losing, but if you do get into the site and you can contest and maybe get some kills, you can potentially win the round. That's what I should have said. Like, running into the site gives potential when there is no time left. Obviously, this is a very late round decision thing. Basically, they get punished for not making any decisions within the round and just like being way too slow and not being proactive and or not taking anything or pushing anything. They're just trying to play for picks, and the defenders aren't giving it to them. And they end up with no time left, and then they have to make shitty decisions, and they don't end up making these decisions, and they lose because of it. Overall, I think this gameplay was pretty good. Like, a lot of her decisions in-game were good. I just think you could speed it up a bit and then play on the pace of your team. That's the number one thing I think a lot of people can improve upon, is playing on the pace of your team, be it with voice chat. I think they were communicating in this game. I don't remember off the top of my head. But even if you're not communicating with them, there is wall hacks. You could see when your teammates are pushing the site. She's not the only one at fault there. Like, I think everybody on the team was just not on the same page, and that it's really easy to be on the same page if you just use the wall hacks. Or not wall hacks, but like the outlines that the game gives you. Like, it's comparable to a wall hack. But yeah, thanks for watching this. Like I said below, go check out her videos. Thank her for providing the gameplay. Please comment down below if you're interested in sharing your gameplay, or you think there's something else that Myst3ry could improve upon.